Shalom. The Parsha for this week is Vayechi, Jacob lived. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt for 17 years. Jacob's days, the years of his life, were 147, according to Genesis chapter 47, verse 28. Now the readings for this week is between Genesis chapter 47:28 to chapter 50, verse 26, which is the end of Genesis. So when do we read this Parsha? It will be read on January 3rd, 2015, which is 12 of Tevet, 5775 of the Hebrew calendar. December 26, 2016, on the 14th of Tevet, and January 14, 2017, of the 16th of Tevet of the year 5777 of the Hebrew calendar. What is very interesting about this Parsha is that the title, Vayechi, means Jacob lived, is that the story is about Jacob's death, and yet the title is Jacob lived. We can remember in the gospel account when Yeshua was asked about the resurrection, when he said that the God of Israel is the God of the living and not of the dead, and because he is the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and Jacob. When a believer dies, he is not really dead. He is alive with the Lord. Now the summary for this Parsha is that Jacob blesses his grandchildren Ephraim and Manasseh according to chapter 48, verse 1 to 20. In this part of the account, we can notice that Joseph is being blessed through his children, and he got a double portion of the blessings. He had this blessing because of his faithfulness to the Lord. He was very patient. He suffered all those trials and tribulations that happened in his life. He was separated from his beloved father Jacob and his brothers, and he was betrayed by his own brothers. So we can see here that if we persevere, in the end, we will also get the double blessing, just like Joseph. Jacob's 12 sons gather around his deathbed, and each receives an evaluation and prediction of his future. Chapter 49, verse 1 to 33. What is very interesting about this is the blessing of Jacob basically put the map of each tribe of what will happen in the future, a timeline, a prophetic timeline of what will happen to them from the time that Jacob gave those words towards the end times. Those blessings and evaluation and description became the things that will happen to the people of Israel. For example, for the tribe of Judah, that's where the Messiah came, and so forth and so on. Now Joseph mourns his father's death and has Jacob embalmed. Jacob is buried in Hebron in the cave of the field of the Machpelah in the land of Canaan. Now, what is very interesting about this is that why did Joseph mourns for his father's death when he knows for a fact that it's Vaihi, or Jacob lived. We can see here that Joseph is still a human being. He lost a lot of time with his father because of what happened. Inasmuch as it was done for the purpose of saving the whole Israel, and yet as a human being, being a young child, he was separated from his father. And after that, 17 years he lived with his father in Egypt. But it's time for him to say goodbye. And Joseph, in his humanity, has to mourn for his father's death. But he knows that one day he will also die and gather to be with his people and to be with his father Jacob. And one day, the promises of the Lord will be fulfilled. Because he, as we learn later, that he asked for his brothers, for his bones to be taken from Egypt and be brought back to the land of Canaan. And it is also a prophetic request and statement which happened and will happen again. Now Joseph assures his concerned brothers that he has forgiven them and promises to take care of them and their families. Chapter 50, verse 15 to 21. What is very interesting about this is that his guilty brothers were concerned that one day, once their father is dead, Joseph, being the second highest ruler in Egypt, would get back to them for the evil things that they did. And yet, Joseph was very forgiving. He did not only forgive them 17 years back, but he once again forgave them and promised to them that he will take care for them and their families. Just before he dies, Joseph tells his brothers that the Lord will return them to the land that God promised to the patriarchs. And the children of Israel promised Joseph that they will take his bones with them when they leave Egypt. As we can see here, that Joseph knew that one day the children of Israel will have to go back to the land of promise. This is not only because of the promise, but because he knew it. And we don't know exactly how he knew things, but we know that Joseph is a prophet, and the Lord has gave him the wisdom to interpret dreams. Did he has a dream? Did he encounter a dream that would tell these things? Maybe, maybe not, we don't know. But he was sure that the Lord will take again the people of Israel and bring them back to the land of promise. I hope this short Parsha would encourage us to continue on and read the Hebrew roots of our faith. In that way, we will know exactly where we're going in the days to come. Shalom.